Good morning, good morning. It's an early morning, boy. Ooh, very long weekend for me. And want to remind you that we're here to try and finish, but I won't be finishing. I'll do that next week, Lord willing. Toxic attitudes to let go of this year. And number one, apathy towards God, a lack of enthusiasm to the things of God. Number two, worry. Number three, addictive behaviors. And number four, materialism. Now, number five is anger. I think we can all relate to this. Perhaps more than ever in the past few years, we've seen a lot of anger, and we've seen it more significant than other times. It has even divided our nation, divided people within the world. We've seen harsh words spoken, anger manifested, and also ridicule, and people even bullying others. And it's been so rampant that it's divided the nation in more than two, I think, in different parts, maybe three, four parts. But not only in our relationships, but even online. In our relationships, we've seen some division, but even online, people just saying mean things to each other that are really unnecessary. Also, this is huge, and it's a need that often rises up uh, just about some people wanting to be right. They'll do everything to be right, and they get angry when they're not. James 1 says, James 1:19 and 20 says, "So then, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. For the wrath of man does not produce the righteousness of God." Wow, that's pretty rough to be slow to speak because we want to talk right away, slow to anger or wrath, ire, because we want to get angry. And then we see that this doesn't produce the righteousness of God. This being right all the time is, to try and let somebody know how wrong they are. That's not the attitude we should have. Our attitude should not be one of anger, the Bible says, or of cruel speech. Does not have anything to create change, and then it only makes the division even greater. Proverbs 15:1 says, "A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." Ooh. So if you answer in a soft way, well, that's going to turn the wrath away. But if you answer with harsh words, it's just going to stir up more anger, and the person's going to get angrier every time. Many times, we're the most impatient with the people that are closest to us, which is not good, and it's easily a problem that it causes the most effects when you do it to somebody you love and they don't even have anything to do with it. So maybe this is because we also are going through something ourselves, or we have some uncomfortability in our relationship. Who knows? But it never makes it right to say, "Oh, well, I'm sorry, I was just angry at so and so." We really need to think this through. James 4, no, excuse me, that was Proverbs 15. "A soft answer turns away wrath." And so, if we're better, it would be better that we talk to them in a kind way and try to remember, this person didn't do anything to me. Also, harsh words and anger start spewing out things we shouldn't be saying that to those that are around us, and it just makes us look bad. It's happened to all of us, me included. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm perfect. We've all said something we regretted, I'm sure, but God alone has the power to break through that hardness and to strengthen us in the areas that we're weak. And He can also change us into people of kindness, as much as that seems difficult to believe. But we need to have self-control and be able to encourage others, because people that are watching us are evaluating our walk because of this fruit that we produce. So we have to choose to follow God to work in these areas. And above all else, it will be a powerful testimony, because people are watching our testimony, and also the work that He's doing in our lives. So number 5 is anger. Number 6 is pride. We see in chapter 4 of James, I'll read to you in a minute, it says pride. This is the very sin that caused Satan to have a downfall, who was an angel of worship. And then in the end, he becomes an enemy of God. We see in James 4:6, "But He gives more grace. Therefore," he says, "God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble." So if we're going to come to God in a proud attitude, we're not going to get too close to him. And God definitely is going to be very upset with us. I mean, it's not going to make our relationship work out. And so we see that the world we live in today is a world that promotes one word: self or ego. I'm looking out for number one. I don't care about anybody else. And it can seem that what we're doing goes against the natural current of society. But again, that would be the Christian, that everything they do that's good, the society hates. But when we choose humility over pride, people are just going to get angry because they think we're nuts. They think, oh, they're nothing but fanatics. And the truth is, we are. We're crazy about Jesus. And people don't all love Jesus. Even Jesus says, the world hated me before it hated you. So we're going against the grain and the flow so that God can be greater within us. And our need for self will become less. What did John say? He must increase and I must decrease. So when you see yourself decreasing, you're letting God's humility work in you. He gives more grace to the humble, but he's going to resist the proud. And then we also see Galatians 6:3. For if anyone thinks himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceives himself. So you may think you're some big hot shot, but God doesn't see it that way. You're filled with pride and ego. And then this eventually brings destruction, as we know Proverbs constantly talks about. And it won't be easy when we're so consumed with the attitude of pride and even have become entrenched with our ways and our life of being a way that it's my way or the highway. And it's hard to break free of this, because if you continue to let pride run your life, it'll run you down. And so this is why Galatians says, if you think you're something, you think yourself to be someone, you're really nothing, and you're deceiving yourself. God gets no honor in this. God will often, even at times, allow difficulties in your life, like struggles along the way, to remind you how weak you really are. I know that when I've gone through stuff, I go, man, God, I need you. I can't do it alone and in my own human strength. No matter how great your will is, God is the only one that can give you the power that you need, because he is greater. I love this shirt that my friend Rudy brought me from Hawaii. It said, he is, and then it's the greater sign than I. He is greater than I. He will always be greater than I. God will always be stronger, smarter, pure, and humble. His humility is what I think angered the people so much. And also, when we lay down this attitude of pride, it's a daily choice. And we know that the Bible tells us that this is something we must work on. Also, I want to read one last scripture. It's found in Proverbs, if I can get my phone to work here, Proverbs 11. Let me see if I can get there here in a minute. And I just want to remind you, though, that pride is something that we all struggle with. Nobody can say here today that they've never had a problem with pride, because I think that in itself would be a lie. But Proverbs 11:2 said, when pride comes, then comes shame. But with the humble is wisdom. So if you're going to be proud, then you can be rest assured shame is right behind it. They're Siamese twins. Pride comes before a great fall. And so this is a daily choice to choose a deeper place of intimacy with the Lord and let the pride take a back seat. Man, I'm a very proud person, and I'd be the first to say, man, I struggle with it all the time, even especially when I think the people are out of their mind and they still want to come against you. You know, I've had to deal with people in the last couple of years that have been just so cruel at times, and it makes me go, oh, Lord, help me. It isn't my ego. It isn't my pride. It's more that how can you call yourself a Christian and allow these things to come out of your mouth or to do the things you do? Yet even then, God tells us not to be proud, because he's there to remind us that this life is not about us. It's hard, man, but it's about God living in us, through us, and our focus should be what is the most important, that will bring the best change. So as a minister, I've done everything that a person could do to be in ministry, a missionary, a pastor, a youth pastor. Through all those things, I can say the ones we talked about today, anger and also pride, are two things I know I've dealt with in my own personal life. And I've tried to be as much as patience, have as much patience as I can. And I'm grateful to God that in many areas, even the people that are very close to me, even my wife says, "Man, I can't believe how you've calmed down." I said, maybe it's age, I don't know. I want to believe it's change. And pride, I think I've always had that. It's that Irishman in me, you know. Anyhow, next week we're going to finish with one last point. And I chose that to be alone, because I'm going to use some of that and also to share with you a little bit of St. Patrick's Day, which will be Sunday next week, Lord willing, and to show you some of the things about his life as to why we can't just throw him under the carpet because, oh, the Catholics worship that and believe that. No, he was a real person and God really used him. So next week, and plus I got Irish blood, you know, I'm Mr. O'Brien. So next week we'll be sharing that. But in the meantime, please, you pray for me as I pray for you, Katrina Lou. And I just saw Katrina Lou. That includes William, Ingrid, Wesley, Allie, my mama, brothers and sisters, all the rest of you too. And on top of that, I want to remind you, don't forget, we'll be back right here tomorrow on The Bottom Line, YouTube, Church of Zion channel, and on Facebook, The Bottom Line. Man, I hope you have a great weekend. And Lord willing, from here in this hotel in another country, I hope you have a great Sunday. And Lord willing, I'll see you mañana. Love you guys, and like always, peace out. Bye-bye.